no exception to the general rule. The exceptions were those, and some of my friends were among them, who before or during the war had become disciples of Stalin. Such, then, was my state of mind as I watched the Russian girl with her submachine gun advance in my direction. To her, I was one of the millions of Europeans who had to be liberated and educated. Perhaps I was even a member of the bourgeoisie, but that could not have seemed likely, since the shabby worker's overall which I was wearing was all I possessed in the world. A few years later, a cultural attaché at the embassy of the Warsaw government in Washington, D.C., was busy organizing concerts and exhibitions of Polish art. It was said he was not a communist. From 1945 to 1951, I was first a freelance writer in Poland and then cultural attaché, first in Washington and later in Paris. In the end, I broke with the Warsaw government. But how, a reader may ask, could you become a diplomatic official of that government if you were not a member of the party? The answer lies, first, in the fact that in each of the people's democracies, the political change developed by degrees. Jan Masaryk in Czechoslovakia could be not a mere attaché, but the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And secondly, in the fact that writers in the people's democracies belonged to the new privileged caste. It was thought that the appointment of a writer to a diplomatic post would produce a good impression abroad. Yes, my reader may continue, I can see that. But you, why did you agree to serve? For money? No. I am no saint, but those who know me are aware that my needs are modest, and that I have no extravagant tastes except a love for books. I agreed to serve not for material reasons, but through conviction. We enter here upon the problems which form the subject of this book. The world of today is torn asunder by a great dispute, and not only a dispute, but a ruthless battle for world domination. Many people still refuse to believe that there are only two sides, that the only choice lies between absolute conformity to the one system or absolute conformity to the other. Call such people impractical, if you will, but it would be wrong to treat their hopes as matter for contempt. Those who thought that they might succeed, while remaining within the Eastern Bloc in keeping clear of total orthodoxy and maintaining some degree of freedom of thought, have been defeated. The peasants' leaders were defeated, Masaryk was defeated, the socialists who tried to collaborate were defeated. Reich was defeated in Hungary, Gomulka in Poland. My mother tongue, work in my mother tongue, is for me the most important thing in life. And my country, where what I wrote could be printed and could reach the public, lay within the Eastern Empire. My aim and purpose was to keep alive freedom of thought in my own special field. I sought, in full knowledge and conscience, to subordinate my conduct to the fulfillment of that aim. I served abroad because I was thus relieved from direct pressure, and in the material which I sent to my publishers, could be bolder than my colleagues at home. I did not want to become an émigré and so give up all chance of taking a hand in what was going on in my own country. The time was to come when I should be forced to admit myself defeated. To understand the course of events in Eastern and Central Europe during the first post-war years, it must be realized that pre-war social conditions called for extensive reforms. It must further be understood that the Nazi rule had occasioned a profound disintegration of the existing order of things. In these circumstances, the only hope was to set up a social order which would be new, but would not be a copy of the Russian regime. So what was planned in Moscow as a stage on the road to servitude was willingly accepted in the countries concerned as though it were true progress. Men will clutch at illusions when they have nothing else to hold to. The method, the diamat, that is, dialectical materialism as interpreted by Lenin and Stalin, possesses a strong